Well, if that's not the most interesting intro to the WooSox Insider podcast that we have all season, I don't know what will be. That was Dr. Charles Steinberg and his reprise of WooSox 21 into WooSox 22. Hello and welcome to the WooSox Insider podcast. As always, I am your host, Tim Quidadamo, TQ. I have my producer here with me, Dylan McCaffrey, up on stage live in the DCU Club. The one person who is not with us is our co-host, Chris Bergstrom. So he lives in North Attleboro. They are getting hit hard by this storm. He lost power. He lost heat. So keep Chris in your thoughts and prayers, your T's and P's today.
Can you believe Chris bailed on the podcast today? He didn't want to sleep at the park. He lost power. He didn't charge his phone. He's saving his phone battery for emergencies. Didn't want to zoom in. I think it shows a lack of dedication.
I think it does too. And I think it's a little personal as well. But Chris, hard feelings only. I guess take care of your family during this time. And we'll think of you when it's convenient for us. But we'll see you back on the podcast next week. Dr. Charles.
Yeah.
Tickling the ivory.
Well, it warms you up a little bit. It's I know the heat is on here, but it is a little bit chilly in the DCU Club.
Yeah.
So yeah, just to warm up a little bit of WooSox 21, maybe for the last time for a while.
Right.
And then the beginning of WooSox 22.
Yeah, so in case you didn't know, Dr. Charles writes all of these songs. He's in the recording studios with the artists and musicians while they're recording it. They're going over mix. And I know it sounds like a lot of work, but it usually does mean a flight to San Diego for a week to record with these artists. But writing music has always been a passion for you, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, you don't really think that your music is anything special when you're 17 and you're just writing about, the next crush that you have, and you channel it. You don't think anything's going to come of it. But over the years, people started to react to it. And I started to put baseball lyrics to the songs, and it just kept going and going and growing and growing. So that's why when we got to Pawtucket, we just pounded people with Paw Sox baseball for about 5 years. And I didn't want to do that here where we just, beat you into submission with the same song the whole time. So that's why I wrote WooSox 21 and then wanted something a little bit different for WooSox 22. But there is a method a little bit to some of the madness, and it might be interesting, especially for the moms and dads to know, because the especially WooSox 22, both are intentionally simple. And I guess what I mean is this. Decaf, let me hand you the mic a second.
Yeah, he has a mic.
Yeah, I know, but
you're holding it. Guy, gotcha. So,
I've been thinking this whole time I wanted 2 mics. This feels pretty good.
You've been the producer for 3 episodes and you need more airtime.
I'm gonna keep adding mics every episode.
You're gonna have to hold that up to the guitar.
I want to do like a press conference with just mics in front of me.
Do you know where you're supposed to hold it? I heard directly pointing at it at the 9th fret.
Well, here,
The 9th fret?
Yeah.
The 9th fret, you said. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the 9th fret. That's an optimal microphone for an acoustic guitar.
well, here was the point I was going to
You're gonna have to hold it up to Charles too,
When-
so we can really hear him.
on WooSox. This is unrehearsed. on Woo,
Can you tell?
on WooSox 21, I wanted to make it as simple as could be for a child to learn the introduction.
Yep.
Well, the simplest way to do it is to go like this. They're just the 6 open strings. One more time. And then you just complete it with the E chord. WooSox 21, the fun has just begun. And then it gets a little bit more complicated, but 7-year-olds, 6-year-olds who are learning the guitar can go. You can do that.
That's right.
I don't know if I can do that.
Yes, you
can do that.
You can do that. So now, just to be cute on WooSox 22, I just flipped it. Check this out. So it's the same thing, just backwards. Take two. So let's do that again. The open strings just go. And then I went to an A chord instead of the E chord, but they're two of the easiest chords to learn and two of the first chords that you teach. And if there's a third chord in that triplet, it's typically an A. So you go. You can do an awful lot of rock and roll with just an A to D to E to A. So look how simple WooSox 22 is. Always something cool and new. Very simple.
This is my favorite part.
WooSox 22. Take two.
You didn't do.
Yeah.
Take.
Now this is here we needed the aficionado.
Yeah,
I don't play guitar.
We
on the
should have.
song.
Well, I think we mislabeled this session on WooSox.com when people were registering for Winter Weekend because this is music lessons with Dr. Charles Steinberg.
You know, it's probably a cold day in winter in Worcester when you're gonna sit back. You're at home, and music's a big part of baseball. It's a big part of our careers. The soundtrack of a game is important to us.
I took your class sports management. The syllabus didn't have music lessons in it, but we got music lessons every class.
Exactly. That's at Emerson, where I'm director of sports communication, where Dylan was a terrific student, where Tim Quidadama was a terrific student. You got to go to college, kids. Get internships. Take two. All righty.
So there you have a little bit of the history of the writing of WooSox 21 and WooSox 22. Charles, we did, since we're doing our first live podcast recording, we did just have some breaking news, and I'll lead into this while you set your guitar down. Tom Brady, after 22 seasons in the NFL, is formally announcing his retirement.
No.
That's
Really?
right. So we wish him a happy and
Wow.
healthy retirement. Obviously, it will be healthy
Wow.
because he's not eating any nightshades,
Really?
nothing inflammatory, staying pliable.
Doesn't
But
want to try to go out with a Super Bowl one more time, huh?
apparently not.
I
Seven's
always
enough.
imagined him riding off into the sunset.
Wow.
with his trophy on his shoulder.
What a career.
What a
Woo.
career is right.
Wow.
Now, not only do you love writing music, but you've written a lot of opening day ceremonies
Oh,
at
yeah.
Fenway Park, and Tom with 6
Oh,
Super
my
Bowls with
heavens,
the
yeah.
Patriots has been at a lot of them. Do you have any Tom Brady
Oh.
stories you want to share?
Well, yeah, and even why that was an opening day ceremony goes back. Actually, it's an interesting story. You have a minute?
Yeah.
It's a podcast.
I think we
can do
have
that.
what? At least 40 more.
All right. So we're with the Baltimore Orioles in Baltimore. Larry Lucchino, with Janet Marie, we built Camden Yards. It's great. It's a phenomenon. Packed houses every day.
Yep.
Larry gets the cool gig of the San Diego Padres. We're moving to San Diego, and that's great. And we are going to the opposite end of the baseball success spectrum. We are going to take over a team in 1995 that in 94 finished 28th, because there were only 28 teams, in 4 categories: lowest attendance, lowest revenue, lowest season ticket base, and worst won-loss percentage.
Decaf, what are the 2 teams that weren't in the league at that time?
Marlins,
Yep. Desert.
Diamondbacks.
Yeah. Nice.
Um,
Where
You're in
were
San
You're in
Diego.
San Diego
They were
now.
last in every category.
Opening day
Not
ceremonies.
Rays, not the Rays and Diamondbacks.
Oh, it might have been the Rays and
Aha.
Diamondbacks.
Right. I think so. I
I'm
think it
blaming
was-
that on you, Decaf.
I think we added the Rays and Diamondbacks in 98.
You said Marlins with such conviction that
because
I was
first of all,
in.
the Marlins won the 97 World
Right.
Series. Mm,
I was so close. I was in the same state.
you were still a very good student at Emerson. So we take over the Padres, and it's Larry Lucchino with John Moores, the majority owner of the club. And Larry had said to me, how bad can we mess this up? The stone is already at the bottom of the hill. Well, we're getting ready for our first opening day. There it was an opening night. And, in the weeks that lead up, what are you going to do? The fan apathy was only exceeded by antipathy because they had a fire sale and all. Well, the San Diego Chargers were the toast of the town. The San Diego Chargers had just been to their first Super Bowl, and it was all Chargers, and the fans were wild. We shared the stadium, Jack Murphy Stadium, later called Qualcomm Stadium, and Larry and I are watching the news one night, and 60,000 fans come to Jack Murphy Stadium to welcome home the Chargers from qualifying for the Super Bowl. They had won in Pittsburgh.
It's quite a number.
Well,
60,000.
you saw that the city had passion, the city had enthusiasm, but at the time it was not for the Padres. So what if you introduce the Chargers on opening night? Ooh. So how are we, the very secondary team in that town, going to get the Chargers and their players to be with us?
There was a question to even get the Chargers as the San Diego Padres, because that seems ludicrous nowadays. There's always pregame ceremonies that incorporate other professional teams in whatever city you're in.
Not everybody likes to do that, but we wanted to, and we didn't have that much else to offer.
Can I ask, this stadium, was it built for football or baseball first, or was it built for both?
It was built as a multi-purpose.
Okay.
As multi-purpose stadia go, it was a really good one. The seats rolled out of the way, but it was multi-purpose. On the last out of the last game of the season in September, early October, the little bulldozers came in, and there goes the pitcher's mound. It was kind of sad to me. Anyway, the how are you going to get the Chargers to cooperate and participate in the Padres opening day?
Are you asking me?
Rhetorically, really. You want to try it?
No.
Where was Larry Lucchino before he was the head of the Baltimore Orioles?
Where was he, TQ?
Oh, now this is a test too.
He was an attorney for a sports team.
That's right.
He was in football.
Yes,
Was it in Washington?
it was. Good job. All righty. So Edward Bennett Williams, Larry's mentor and boss, was the president of the Washington then Redskins. And Larry was general counsel. And they talked about changing the name back then, by the way. That's another story. So their young football executive on the rise was one Bobby Beathard, who now here in 1995 was the general manager of the San Diego Chargers. And so
It's a small world.
Yes, relationships are everything.
Yep.
So we go to dinner. Larry calls Bobby Beathard, who's happy to go to dinner with his old friend. And we outline this idea that the Houston Astros, the opponents that night, would line up along the third base line. And then we would say, and now a team that epitomes excellence, quality, championship level play. And people are going to think, you got to be kidding me. The Padres were the worst team in all of baseball. Your San Diego Chargers. And out would come the Chargers. And that's what we did. And it added so much energy and life. And then amid that high energy, yeah, by the way, here are the Padres. We got our season started.
Well, the cheers are still going for the Chargers.
Exactly.
You
sneak-
Padres out and
yes.
get them some
So
confidence.
that established the idea and the model in our heads. So now we're about to join the Boston Red Sox, and the Patriots get into their first Super Bowl. I
good
said,
timing.
well, Larry, should we dust off our old idea and honor the Patriots on opening day? And I have wonderful friends at the Red Sox, many of whom were inherited colleagues, none of whom thought that we were sane. You're going to have a football team on the field at Fenway Park?
Why not?
Yeah, I said, well, in San Diego, you're not in San Diego anymore. We don't do that. So I was not only told that that was a strange idea, I was told can happen, won't happen. It's impossible. You don't understand the logistics of Fenway Park. And we did it. So there was Tom Brady. There was the trophy. There were the Patriots. And it established a model that would work. We knew we got it down. Sarah McKenna, my dear friend and collaborator on all those complicated
who was here working
ceremonies.
Polar Park opening
You bet.
day too.
Yeah, no, I brought her in. She's a world-class logistician, in addition to being a great creative collaborator. You know, I'll say, oh, how about if we do this? And then she'll just look at me like, and then she figures out how to do it.
Right.
You know, like when Sam Kennedy said to me, Sam is the president and CEO now of the Red Sox, but we were leaving the Padres, and he goes, how about if when we get to Boston, we have a flag the size of the Green Monster, and it comes down on Patriots Day? I said, Sam, that idea is too good to wait for Patriots Day. We need that on our first opening day. And so we tell Sarah about it, and folks at the Red Sox explained to me why that can't happen. It won't happen. It's impossible. If it could have happened, it would have happened. And you just can't do that here. You're not going to find a flag. What are you going to go order one from China? It's going to take 6 months, they said. Sarah comes back. Got a flag company. So where are they? 6 blocks from Fenway.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
Local too.
Yes. She's a master at resourcefulness. And yes, we did get that giant flag. And we got the Patriots. Now the Patriots win again.
They made it look really bad for anyone who was doubting you getting the Patriots there, because it became such a habit on opening day. The Patriots with Lombardi trophies coming out at Fenway Park.
Well, it became the way I wound up watching the Patriots in the Super Bowl was to say, all right, is this going to be a pregame ceremony on opening day? And if they won, it was. If it wasn't, I was still happy to have them. But, you know, there were people say, oh, right, don't do it. But through it, I got to meet Mr. Kraft, Robert Kraft. And we knew a lot of people in common. His late father had been instrumental in overseeing the synagogue in Brookline that I had gone to. And it was kind of interesting to feel some kind of connection that way, not through football. Well, there was a thought that for the second opening day after the Patriots won, that it would just be Mr. Kraft throwing to his son. I was a little bit worried about that idea. I know that it's simple, and I know that it would pay tribute to, you know, quite a family with Worcester connections, by the way, that are very profound.
Yep.
But gosh, I felt like the fans wanted to see the players. Well, it was for me to drive down to Foxborough and to speak to Mr. Kraft for the first time and tell him that I thought a better idea was for him and his son to be joined by the rest of the team. It was not his idea to do it solo. Right. And I'd say that 90% of the conversation was about his dad and Brookline and the lady who had the little toy store right across the street.
Goes back to what you said earlier, and relationships are everything.
And he said, now, what do you want to do? I said, I think that you should have the whole team. Oh, yeah, it's fine. Good. Boom. So now they're back again. They win a third one, 2 years later?
Yep.
And all of this is my Tom Brady story, which is very short. We have a green room, a room where we're a conference room where the Patriots are going to wait. And I walk in. I've never met Tom Brady. I walk in and I see Mr. Kraft, and oh, that guy's Tom Brady. I walk in. Hi, how are you? Nice. And I just walk right on by him. Like, I'm the only one who just sort of just blew off Tom Brady, because actually here was my friend, you know, or at least a gentleman who I was friendly with. I hadn't met Tom Brady. I'm like, yeah, hi Tom, how are you? Nice to see you. So I have the utmost respect for him.
Yeah.
The next time you're in public in Worcester, you get to shake Charles Steinberg's hand. Just know that he big time Tom Brady when he had the
exactly,
chance.
inadvertently, unintentionally, but unequivocally. So I did. I went over to Mr. Kraft, and I think Tom came over, to see who was this person that was
That just
blowing
snubbed
him
me.
up.
Yeah. It's a
So-
good thing he wasn't. He did get drafted by the Expos as a catcher. It's a good thing he wasn't a two-sport athlete
Well,
that wasn't on the Red Sox, because I think that alone was enough to light a fire that would haunt the Boston baseball team for decades.
well, that may be, but you do bring up something somewhere along. Gosh, what, the fifth Super Bowl, something like that? We're having
I
them
lost
again.
count.
Yeah,
And-
Decaf, the Dolphins fan, is just
And Sarah
sitting
and
up
I
here
did
miserable.
talk about, he needs to go. He needs to go into the batting cage. I mean, he was a great ball player.
Yeah.
Why am I remembering the Texas Rangers? They weren't part of that story.
They might have drafted Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. Good call there.
That's our
Dude, I
producer,
met-
Decaf. That's what he's
I
here
met,
for.
I met Russell Wilson.
Oh, did you big
Yes.
time him too?
No. I was very
He
appreciative
big time Ciara.
for his work on childhood cancer awareness in Seattle, but that's another story. Look, it's a snowy day in January. We could go all day, but with Tom Brady, yeah, we made sure that I believe he and David Ortiz went into the batting cage, and there are photos. There is footage
There's
that the
video
Red Sox
I've
have
seen.
of David Ortiz and Tom Brady playing baseball together in the cage right behind the dugout. So anyway, I'm an unabashed Tom Brady fan. I think the world of him. I think the world of what the Patriots created, and if he is going to bid farewell, what a career we've all been honored to watch. And we knew it at the time. It's not that anybody didn't appreciate that you had David Ortiz and Tom Brady
Concurrently.
concurrently in your city, along with the Celtics and Bruins winning a
Yeah.
championship.
Got Paul
Like,
Pierce, Tom Brady, and
it's-
David Ortiz in a room together. It's
Patrice
It's
Bergeron
something.
to throw in the 2011 Bruins.
And always look to our friend Bob Lobel to come up with some cool ideas. And he said, Charles, you got to get a shot of all of those trophies, get the Lombardi trophies and the World Series trophies all together. And we did. And it's, boy, you're filling me with sentiment if he's going to hang them up. But what a great career and a wonderful guy to deal with. I didn't have any extensive conversation, obviously, with him. Jackie Wilkes, who assists me here, and she was Jackie Dempsey before she married her husband,
Mhm.
and Brent Wilkes, wonderful Rhode Island state trooper. But Jackie would be on the field for the ceremonies. She worked with Tom Brady.
Yeah.
We had a cool picture of Jackie in her ball girl uniform and Tom Brady. So she had more interaction. So Jackie may be watching this one and is smiling at the thought of the interaction she got to have. But we all of us salute Tom Brady. What an incredible career.
Yeah.
You better be careful what you say about Jackie, because when she comes on the podcast, it's just a dish session. It's just all the dirt she
Everything
has.
Oh,
behind
my
the
heavens.
scenes about Charles Steinberg.
No. Jackie is wonderful. Many of you remember her as the ball girl at Fenway, making spectacular plays. The number 5 web gem on ESPN on a night that Jackie Bradley Jr. had the number 8 web gem. And by the way, there she is playing herself in Hollywood with Jake Gyllenhaal in what was that, Stronger or Patriots Day? She's in both, I
I
think.
think Patriots. No,
Whichever one
Stronger,
stars-
or Jake Gyllenhaal was Stronger, right?
Was Stronger. Yeah.
think so, yeah.
So there's Jackie. She's
Is
she's
Jackie
great.
on IMDb? I didn't know she's in.
I
these-
think
She
so.
was in a
I-
movie with Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah, I think
They-
Charles is on
they
it, too.
reduced Reese Witherspoon's softball parts in it to just this like shot, and if you pause it, you can see
Jackie.
Jackie.
So
Jackie was, by the way, one of the real ones to open our eyes to how fabulous baseball players are, whether they're a guy or a girl.
Right.
Jackie is a fabulous baseball player, softball player, started Villanova
Mhm.
from a remarkable baseball family. Her father was coach of the year for the Boston Globe for coaching the Medford High softball team. Her cousin, a lot of fans remember, long major league career, Mike Pagliarulo. Yeah, there's a lot of baseball, softball, and Tom Brady all wrapped up into one.
Yeah. So there's a 25-minute farewell to Tom Brady. Tom, we know you're watching or listening, so you're already in Florida. Enjoy your retirement. While we're on the topic of star power, though, well, first, we'll get to the star power. I want to say I'm the only one on this stage right now that didn't spend the night at Polar Park last night. How was it? Decaf. Tell us some stories. Was it like night at the museum?
It was. I was so excited for this because I was picturing it like night at the museum. We've got a big Casey at the bat statue over there that whenever I walk by him, day or night, his eyes follow me as I go by. And last night, I was having a staring contest waiting for him to start chasing me around. He missed strike 3, but I knew he was going to connect with my skull if he started getting off that podium.
He really is just staring right at the control room. Every time you walk in and out the door, he's looking daggers right at you.
I had a fun time. I walked around this whole empty park and look at Casey.
So,
look at those eyes. If imagine it's 2 a.m. and there's no one else here and it's just you and Casey.
And you didn't know that I was here.
I didn't know. I saw your light on. I thought you were just not conscious about the environment.
Decaf, where'd you sleep?
I slept in the visitors clubhouse. The home clubhouse was locked. This couch I was trying to sleep on, so I was in the visitors clubhouse where we usually record the podcast.
Well, on what? On a couch?
I was on a couch. I had
they have some nice couches.
A couple of my hoodies and sweatpants draped over me. I could not get the lights off. So at about 3 a.m., I made a trip back up to the control room, and we have like a pair of blinders that I was able to get a little beauty sleep.
So, Charles, a lot of people who have been to Polar Park have been up to the DCU club. They've seen the suites. What they don't know is that Suite 17 also doubles as your office space and apparently triples as an apartment.
Well, for the record, I'm sleeping here because I don't have an apartment that's walking distance. Can't say the same.
But I was worried that overnight the snow would mount and not be traversable, and I wasn't going to be able to drive, and I wasn't sure I was going to be able to walk.
Right.
And we had to be at Polar Park for WooSox Winter Weekend.
So you were worried that the snow would mount up and lock you inside. Little did you know that in your own suite,
look at the floor.
While you were sleeping, resting your little head, the snow was coming through the door.
Check that out. The snow actually came in. It blew in to the suite, and it is still there.
It's still there.
It is. It's true. I was like, where did that snow come from? I didn't open the door with it. And then I just stared, and just little dust balls of it were coming in.
Flurrying in.
So, yeah, it is true. I honestly know. I know that I could have left and tried to come back, but you are all going to be here. And I knew that. Yeah. And I knew that we've got a great crew, and Brendan Black is over there. Lexi Richardson's
directing the show, doing the graphics.
And one would say, "Oh, sorry, guys, I can't make it back." That didn't feel right. And so I did leave. Before the snow started, and got the necessary essentials. You know, everyth's hygienic. Don't worry. Got all the toiletries. Got a change of clothes. Janet Marie Smith had lived right nearby the ballpark, and she needed to, my goodness, because she can burn the midnight oil and be back before sunrise.
Nobody else.
Janet Marie is one of the most brilliant hard workers ever, and she had left behind a big quilt and a blanket. Put that away. Never gonna need that. Needed that.
Yeah.
So it was cute. I surprisingly, I slept a lot better here than I thought that I would. I thought it would be like sleeping on a plane, but I didn't have the same problem Decaf did with the lights not being able to go out.
There's definitely like a light switch just like right in the most obvious spot that I looked at 100 times.
So was it that you were moving and the motion triggered it?
Being on a couch, I would have to shift around, and the lights actually did turn off once, and I was so happy. And then I like turned from my left side to my right side,
you
and
moved.
they all shot back on.
Decaf.
while Casey at the bat is walking around, you have to be as still as a statue.
So you think that statue has a little bit of spirit in
I
them?
think that's a little life. I've seen a
Wow.
glimmer in its eyes on a game day every now
You
and
know
then.
what we could do?
Animatronic,
What
like Disney.
What is that?
It's a statue that moves.
But there are humans who dress that.
Yeah, we actually had some
I'll
at
do
an
it.
event at Polar Park this year. They were fantastic.
I didn't remember if we had done it here. I've seen it throughout my career. You think it's a statue. It's green, it's gold.
Yep.
And then they move. You're
And
like,
then-
oh my God.
And then Casey knocks your head off.
Well, maybe we could get a live Casey to stand
He's
down the
staring
hall
at
in the
us right
DCU
now.
He's
club.
staring at us
this is
right
the scene.
now.
And then someone would think they're seeing two Caseys, except one of them would move.
Oh.
We'll replace that Casey with the live
This is
person.
ho-
He'll
this is
stand
how we
still
plan
until-
events.
we
This
won't
is-
we won't do any of that.
There,
we won't do
there
any
is
of
no
that.
science to it. We sit and talk. We
gonna do
enjoy each other's.
We're not gonna do it.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah.
This
Uh,
is this is how it starts.
So you said you did stop at an apartment, got a change of clothes. I want to ask you, I've known you for about 6 years now. Every time I've seen you, except this morning, right after you woke up, it's always slacks, shirt, tie, and then if it's cold, sweater. When did that start?
I used to catch a cold so reliably in October after a baseball season. You know, you're on a surge in the baseball season, as you both so know, and these two are fabulously hard workers too. And when the season ends, you have a little bit of like a come down. Let time.
Yeah.
I always catch a cold in October, and I'm like, let's not do that anymore. You know, it's no fun.
Fair
So
enough.
I just started religiously putting on a sweater October 1st, and almost no matter what, I'm going to wear it in Worcester through May. You know,
Right.
sweater comes off June 1st. But the and a tie was part of our dress code in high school. The school I went to, it was a small private school, and I started there in 8th grade. It was a 12-year school, and I went to Baltimore City Public Schools through 7th grade, where there was not a tie except for on picture day. And when I went to Gilman School in Baltimore, starting in 8th grade, you wore a tie every day. So it became absolutely typical. I probably have some ties from 8th grade still. I just didn't think anything of it. Now, at the University of Maryland, right, you didn't wear ties, but
Mhm.
then at the University of Maryland Dental School, oh, you most definitely did. And so it was just second nature. And when I started at the Orioles, which actually was in the last month of senior year of high school, my boss, who passed away a year ago, wonderful man, Bob Brown, a patriarch to so many of us in
Mhm.
baseball. He had told Chris Lambert, who was doing the internship with me, told us what time to be in, and said our shirt and tie is appropriate every day. Got it. Well,
You're used to it.
I don't even think anything of it. If anything, I've lightened up. Usually on a Sunday, I'll wear, I
wear a
might go
polo.
without it. Maybe a Saturday,
You
but I don't think anything of it.
you would make Barney Stinson proud. I've watched this man climb into a mascot costume, shirt and tie, buttoned all the way up.
It's true. I did. I put on the Smiley costume. Now, Smiley's real, kids. Don't worry.
we didn't put a picture of you in because we didn't want to ruin that.
Yes, believe me, it's not a very attractive picture. But yeah, we did. We had an appearance that we wanted to do with Smiley in Millbury, and one of our actors wasn't available. Let's go. Come on. I put on the Sox uniform
Right.
and dug it.
Why not?
This is, I was gonna say it's minor league baseball, but Chris Bergstrom
It's
had
just
a
fun.
legendary career, being very close to Wally the Green Monster. Very.
Chris Bergstrom, our normal podcast co-host. If you
heavens.
haven't watched or listened before, we're available anywhere you listen to podcasts, and we're on our YouTube channel at Worcester Red Sox. But Chris Bergstrom, it's been great with the news of David Ortiz being inducted into the Hall of Fame. I have seen the ESPN commercial
This is
of him
Sports Center.
trying on the Yankees hat, but this is Sports Center, and Wally freaks out when he sees it.
And
I
that's
found
Chris.
out the other day that's Chris Bergstrom
Yeah.
in the suit.
That
Yeah.
is awesome.
Oh,
Isn't that,
That is
incredible?
incredible.
Oh, Chris was the one who really took Wally to good theatrical heights. When we joined the Red Sox, Wally was there, but he was not center stage at all. One of my colleagues at the Red Sox who had been there many years, no, you better not mention Wally. He gets booed. So we turned that around by introducing him on the first opening day, saying, "And the best friend of children at Fenway Park."
Can't boo that.
Exactly.
Can't boo that.
And the
Chris ran with it.
The difference between Charles dressing up as Smiley or not was that Smiley Ball got to meet Wally. That was what was at stake.
Yeah, that's right. Wally was coming to Millbury, and I knew that Smiley had to be there to greet him. And you're right. I had a tie on under that costume. It's pathetic, but it's true.
So clearly, Sweet 17 has become somewhat of a third or I guess fourth home at this point.
I didn't seek that, but it certainly was functional, even with snow blowing in overnight.
Right. And I know you're known to welcome fans up there that you might see at the ball game.
Sure.
And if you haven't seen it yet, I think we have
It's
a
a cool
graphic
suite.
of it. It's
a
the
cool
pictures you have on the wall there are incredible
Well,
just throughout your storied career. And there's one in particular I want to talk about,
Go
but
ahead.
we have an
Look at that.
email. Look at that wall. That's
It's
all
a storytelling.
right.
wall.
It's a retrospective.
Every picture is a story. We said we want to do a whole feature called Sweet Stories. You pick the picture, I'll tell you the story.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What do you
So
got?
there's one in particular. There's a screenshot of an email from the sender CD
That's a great
sent
story.
at I think
That's
3 in
it.
the morning, and you can see it there.
Yep.
Congratulating you on a yet another, your third World Series championship in Boston.
Isn't that cool?
Who is
is
CD?
CD? And honest to goodness, when I received that email, now she wrote it after 3 in the morning, California time.
So it was just after midnight.
Right. Just after midnight.
Got
There
it.
she is. Yes, that's Cameron Diaz. And gosh, where do we start the Cameron Diaz story?
Wow.
We started with opening night in New York, 2005, when Red Sox versus Yankees, coming off the 2004 World Championship. And we had gotten a request from someone from the Fever Pitch group, that which of course Jimmy Fallon and Drew Barrymore, and they had made Fever Pitch at Fenway Park. They were wonderful. The Farrelly brothers could have been better. They said, could you provide 4 tickets to opening night at Yankee Stadium, Red Sox Yankees, for Cameron Diaz, Jimmy Fallon, and 2 others? Well, honestly, you might think that in a small world based on relationships, that's an easy ask. Red Sox versus Yankees, I won't say that the people in the front office don't like each other, but we don't interact. And
Yeah,
that's
you're not asking any favors.
That's not a call that we make. We don't call for tickets at Yankee Stadium. But what are you going to do? You want to take care of them. So there was going to be a suite that our owners were going to have: John Henry, Tom Werner, Larry Lucchino. Now, I knew if I asked Larry whether Cameron Diaz and Jimmy Fallon and 2 others could be with him and John Henry and Tom Werner in the suite at Yankee Stadium, I knew he was going to relentlessly tease and go, you're such a Hollywood file, So I asked Tom Werner, who is a huge person in Hollywood. People in Hollywood revere Tom Werner. He is so respected in Hollywood. I said, do you want Cameron Diaz, Jimmy Fallon, and 2 others in your suite? He goes, sure, that'll be fine. Now I could tell Larry. Tom Werner said, okay, fine. Except I had learned long ago in another story that you got to be careful. Sometimes people bait and switch you. They want the tickets. They use the names of the celebrities, but at the last minute they go, oh, it's these 4 people. And now you're going to have egg on your face a little bit because 4 people you don't know are going to be in the suite. So I knew to be the one to greet them. And my suspicions grew when they changed plans as we got ever closer and said, oh, Jimmy Fallon can't make it, but it'll still be Cameron Diaz plus 3. and you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. You're
Yeah.
waiting for it to be, oh, Cameron couldn't make it, but can we still have the tickets in the suite?
Yep.
It's, we're all human. It's like, oh, do I really want to have to say that to our ownership? So I go down and meet this black Suburban as it drives around. And the driver is one of the four, and three ladies get out. And yes, one of them is Cameron Diaz, most definitely. Another is a wonderful woman that we had worked with on Fever Pitch. She's Drew Barrymore's business partner.
Mhm.
Her name is Nancy Juvonen. And then a third one is Cameron Diaz's assistant named Jesse Lutz. And we welcome them. I'm like relieved. Good. It really is, and so we bring them in up to the suite. It is clear within moments that Jessie is the real fan. She is a Red Sox nut. She's from Massachusetts, and she is excited as anything to be there. Nancy Juvonen is also very happy to be there. And Cameron is perfectly gracious, wonderful, kind. But she's not necessarily going to follow each pitch. And so it became my role to chat with her. I said, are you live in LA? She says, yeah. I said, Dodger fan or Angel fan? She says, if I'm at a Dodger game, I'm a Dodger fan. If I'm an Angel fan, I'm an Angel fan.
That's quite a burden you accepted to keep Cameron Diaz.
Somebody had to
occupied.
do it. I'm a conversationalist, but we
You
talked
don't
the
say.
whole game. And by the way, those who remember, that was not a pretty game. That was Yankees all the way. And Cameron could hear the vocalizations of displeasure emanating from Larry Lucchino. Oh, it was not pretty. So we're kind of keeping her back, the back of the suite. Larry's outside. We can still hear him. And what you saw, though, was that Cameron did not do a bait and switch. She actually showed up so that her assistant could come. And so we gathered them together. I said, look, I get the picture. I understand. I said, Jesse, we want you at Fenway Park next week for our opening day. Nancy, you're welcome too. And then I pointed to Cameron. I said, you, not so sure. So joking, just to let her know you no longer have to do that.
Yeah.
And it led to, I guess, just a good trusting relationship with all of them. And so in 2013, there she was in a suite at Fenway Park, not expecting to see me, I not expecting to see her. And we had this chat, and I told her how, regardless of the outcome of the 2013 World Series, we've already won the pennant. When you win the pennant, you do get a trophy, and that trophy you can take around, and it can be a symbol on trophy tours, and kids can fall in love with baseball. And I told her how my mother, of blessed memory, had taken me to games and how impactful that was. And so 1 week later, there we win the World Series, and I get an email from CD recalling, as you'll see on that email, recalling the actual conversation. And I was just so appreciative of that, because who am I, but she recalled specifically the conversation about my mom. And I wish her well. And every so often I hear from Jesse, and it is funny who you get to meet and how much you get to enjoy these moments that turn into relationships of sorts.
Really quickly, was it an option to buy tickets at Yankee Stadium, or was the suite the deal breaker?
Opening night at Yankee Stadium, I don't know how they could have.
Okay.
I don't know how they could have. Remember, Red Sox, Yankees, coming off of the 2004 World Series. You're good. How are you going to buy those tickets again?
I only asked because I have some friends that know I work for the WooSox. Sometimes they'll ask me if I can get them tickets to Red Sox games.
Tell them to get in line at Yankee Stadium right now.
I just say, yeah, no, I get free tickets all the time. And then I buy tickets.
Free. Well,
I tell them I get free, and then I buy them.
Don't
and then
do
we go.
that.
That's very good-hearted of you. It is. You're a kind person.
My Emerson email still works for the Fenway Park Student 9s.
Oh,
Student 9s are the best. Sam Kennedy's idea. Sam said, why don't we just go with $9 tickets for students? I said,
Thank you, Sam.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
The giant flag and student nines, two of Sam Kennedy's many great ideas.
Somewhere else you can get $9 tickets at WooSox.com or by calling 508-500-8888. As
And
single game tickets for April and May just went on sale now.
And that's one of the reasons that for students, only $8, less than a student nine. So for
Take that dollar, do some laundry.
well,
you
yes, yeah. Dylan is always looking for quarters. So
Bring quarters to the park. If you see Dylan running around, he needs them.
but $8 for kids, for students. That's one of the reasons why. For active military and for seniors. And we look, when we were doing the fan planning sessions, we met with a lot of colleges, in fact, a council of college leaders. And we were going over ticket prices, and don't want to go past $10, they said. So we settled on $9 for everybody, but $8 for kids, students, military, active military, and seniors.
That's right. Affordable family fun. That's what you get here.
Isn't that what you want?
Yeah, exactly. So we talked about the email a lot from Cameron Diaz in 2013 after the World Series. In 2013, I want to bring this up because obviously our beloved Big Papi, David Ortiz, was just elected as a first ballot Hall of Famer. I know you have a bunch of stories, but the one I want to focus on is the speech in 2013, because apparently you had a role.
You told this story in class once. I called my parents and uncle right after to let them know what a cool thing happened.
It's an emotional story because it's an emotional time for us all. If we go back to April 15th of 2013, a gorgeous day, surprisingly beautiful spring day. And that's Patriots Day. We have a walk-off win. We have kids run the bases, thank goodness, because by having kids run the bases, we had a lot of them, that kept a lot of people at Fenway. And when the last child had run the bases, I was sitting over in the third base seats because I liked to just anonymously watch as they came off the field to see the expressions and to make sure we were doing something that we thought we were doing. And the last child had crossed home plate, had come up past me, and Jackie Dempsey, now Jackie Wilkes, was on the field helping to orchestrate. And so as she came up, I walked with her, and my eye caught the scoreboard clock. It was 2:47. I remember that because my elementary school's school number was 247, Cross Country Elementary School in Baltimore. So we walk up, and I said, "What a day." And Jackie said, "Perfect." And it kind of gave me the chills when she said that, because in my spiritual belief, we never actually achieve perfection. There's always this yin to the yang, And we walked in the red door, if you're familiar with that, at Fenway Park. And by the time we had walked down the hall back to our offices, the TVs were on, and there was this story emerging. And you don't know what the story is as it's emerging. You think that I thought that like maybe a furnace in a store had a problem, and then they said no, there's a second one, and then the story's emerging, and they're talking about trash cans, and then if you remember, another story quickly emerges that there's an issue at the JFK Library, a possible fire, and this could be related also. And it turns out it wasn't, but we didn't know that. And my worry was, if you've had an attack on the Marathon and an attack at the JFK Library, and you're going for iconic institutions in Boston, we could be next. So I asked all of our folks in the area to leave, get out of the ballpark. And I remember walking out that side door onto Brookline Avenue and just looking at an ordinary trash can, but looking at it through different eyes. Suddenly, because that's what they were saying had been a possible role. And you're like, who looks at a trash can and, you don't think twice. And I just remember, and the emotions were rising. And as the week went on, and our team, as I think everyone remembers, was able to get on the bus, get on the plane, and get to Cleveland. And our team was very, very moved, very moved. By the way, David Ortiz was not on that team. David Ortiz was still on a rehabilitation assignment from the Achilles injury the previous August 24th.
That's right.
So he's not part of this story. So our team goes to Cleveland. They all go to dinner together. I think 23 guys went to dinner. That's unusual. And Will Middlebrooks, who should forever be thanked and praised for this, sent out a tweet. He didn't invent the phrase Boston Strong, but he took that and he wrote a very tender tweet, and he included hashtag Boston Strong. And we later went back to Twitter. That was the origin of the spike in popularity. And the next day, the team had made a gray jersey. They were on the road with the number 617 and Boston and Strong. And they put it in, they took a picture with it and put it in the dugout. They would make a white 1-2 for the home games. And Larry Lucchino had a senior staff meeting at 11:30 on that next day, on that Tuesday. We actually typically had that meeting on Mondays, but we didn't because it was Patriots Day the day before. And we were talking about, Larry was saying, we need to do something to address this issue. Maybe it's the Red Sox Foundation. And he gets pulled away. Larry's assistant, Faye Shear, came in, handed him a yellow Post-it, and Larry walks away. And that's when we're sitting there and we're chatting among ourselves. I take out my blue Bic pen and realize that if you took the Boston B and wrote Strong under it, then you could do a play on Boston Strong, but it would be Be Strong. Lyrically, you can hear what that means. And it would be the Red Sox logo saying Be Strong. And Pam Ken is sitting across the table from me. She remembers that. We all remember that meeting. Larry comes back in, says that was Mayor Menino. He's creating what will be called the One Fund, and all of the charitable efforts will be centralized. So Sam Kennedy's sitting to my right. Pam is across the table. It's about 8 of us in the meeting. And I show this logo, but you have to get approvals from Major League Baseball to do such a logo. That can take 6 months. Sam Kennedy, rock star. We went from that meeting down the hall into his office, and he pounded call after call after call through the various bureaucratic channels at MLB to get the instant approval of this logo that we could then ask the D'Angelo family, that's Twins Enterprises, the souvenir shop, to make so that we could raise money for the One Fund. And we had $600,000 by Sunday.
Wow.
More than $2 million in that first year. So we're all filled with emotion. Again, David Ortiz is not on the Red Sox. He's on the Paw Sox. And by Wednesday, I'm drawing up a ceremony. Sarah McKenna, who I could always rely on for candor, goes, that's not very good. Okay, thanks. So by Thursday, she was right. By Thursday, we hit a groove. And she and I are in a groove. We know we want to pay tribute to ordinary, everyday people who were thrust into heroic roles, to first responders, to the Olympians themselves, to the doctors, to the nurses, and to the, if there was anyone injured who might have been released by then. So by late Thursday night, and I mean, it was, I think that one was, that was the night of the chase, and it's happening outside Fenway. They're going to Beth Israel. I think she and I left the park at about 1:03 in the morning. And but we had the basis of a touching ceremony for tomorrow, which is Friday. No, shelter in place, no game Friday. Then everybody is asked to instead of shelter in place, let the community come together and look for the killer. And the killer is found, and they're is this new kind of emotion. But we've now got a game on Saturday. And now you shift the ceremony to focus on the great job that law enforcement did.
Mm-hmm.
So you shift the order of things a bit. And by 12:05 a.m. Friday night, we had a ceremony. And I did what I always do. I forwarded it to Larry Lucchino, not because he's my boss, not because of chain of command, but because he is the best collaborator, the best editor. And he will look through other lenses that you may be thinking of. And anybody who partners with him, you're going to do well. So by Saturday morning, we're ready to go, except there's just one problem. It's a heavy ceremony.
Right.
And how are you going to go from this level of thick melancholy to a baseball game, which suddenly seems so trivial?
Right.
And with folks seated around, the same way that you all might be seated around my office or my suite, about 6 or 7 of us. And I said, we need an elbow. We need something to change the direction, to lift us to be ready for baseball. What if David Ortiz would speak?
And this was his first game back on the major league roster, right?
This was going to be his return. We hadn't seen him yet this year. And some of the responses were humorous. Oh, Charles, if you ask David Ortiz to speak, he's liable to drop an F-bomb. I said, you think so? Oh, no, we know so. Independently, concurrently, down the hall, Larry Lucchino is talking to a friend of his, the former president of the Washington Wizards, who he'd known, who said, gosh, you should have a player speak. And so I think it was Sarah McKenna has walked down the hall. She encounters Larry, and she says, Charles wants David Ortiz to speak. Larry goes, yes, David Ortiz should speak. He's going to drop an F-bomb. Now, Larry at the town hall said, no, he won't. At the time, I think he said, good, but I wasn't there. I wasn't there to witness it. I wasn't. Whatever. So then Sarah Narachi went down to talk to David, and we drafted lines for him to say.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, speaking on the field live with a mic is not easy. And when English isn't your first language, it's even harder.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to write too much. You don't want them to memorize or anything. And but Sarah Narachi talked to David and reassured him that he could speak from the heart. And so some of the lines were suggested, like you see this jersey today. It doesn't say Red Sox, it says Boston. But David elaborated. I hadn't written Governor Patrick's name by name or Mayor Menino's name by name. He added that. And what shouldn't get lost was the second line of his famous couplet. Yes, that was completely him saying, this is our city. But the second line, that's all David. And nobody's going to dictate our freedom. That's a heck of a line.
You couldn't have written that better.
Right. That wouldn't have been what I would have even thought to say. And it was that blend of anger, strength, and defiance. And then when he holds his fist in the air in that picture, yes, I've got it in my suite and many people have it in their homes, and says, stay strong. That was a moment.
Yeah.
That was a moment.
That's probably the marquee moment in a very storied career. There have been 5 Red Sox first ballot Hall of Famers. He has 3 more World Series championships, or actually Pedro has 1. So he has 2 more World Series championships than any of the other ones, and 3 more than everyone that's not Pedro.
He is the real deal. He has a heart that is as big as you want to believe it is. But what he did that day was very human and very David.
Right.
It really was. Yes, we said, would you speak? But he's the one who channeled his innermost thoughts and delivered in English compellingly. And yes, it was an elbow. And how did that ball game go? Daniel Nava, 3-run homer after Neil Diamond, who surprised us with his arrival.
Yep.
Daniel
Our
and I
friend
hit-
Don Orsillo on the call. Boston, this is for you.
Nice. That was a day. April 20th, by the way, that day was. What's so notable about that date? It was the 101st birthday of Fenway Park.
Wow. Look at that. So we're a little over time, but this has been some great stuff. I want to thank everybody for joining us virtually on this winter weekend. It's been a big haul for our production department, but everyone's done such an incredible job. Everyone around the front office in general, I want to thank you for helping us out this whole week to put this together for the fans. And like Larry said last night at the town hall kickoff, it's all about the fans. All of the changes we announced, that really stemmed from our Saturday in the Park open house in 2021 that we had in the middle of the season. And I know, Charles, again, that night you stayed late looking at the suggestion boxes, and all of the suggestions that fans wrote down slipped into these ballot boxes at the ballpark that day. Do you know off the top of your head how many we had?
267.
267 ballot
and the blue notebook with those ideas is still right here with me, and that's on top of 877 that we garnered from 21 fan planning meetings.
Wow. So there you see the boxes, and obviously there was a large front office presence there. We weren't just making people write down what they wanted to see changed and then reading it later. Right.
We're the same as everybody else. We know whether we want nachos. We know whether we want fried dough. We know what it's like to be a 6-year-old whose eyes light up at cotton candy. We know what it's like to be a 7-year-old who sees Smiley Ball. And we stay in very close touch with 6 and 7 and 8-year-olds. Believe me.
Definitely.
I rely on 7-year-old Mila. I rely on 8-year-old Ayla. They keep it real. They tell me they are dear, cherished friends of mine. In Auburn and now Douglas, I think. They listen to the children because they'll keep the flame of your childhood going. And look, there's two things you want to do at a ball game. You want to make a child fall in love with baseball, and you want to remind an adult where and when and why and how they fell in love with baseball, and they fall in love again. That's what we love.
Yeah. So thank you again to the fans for all of those suggestions from that open house. We don't want to end the show without breaking any sort of news. So we can tell you tentatively, we are looking at a 2022 open house. We're eyeing the weekend of April 9th. So
cool. Yes.
Follow the WooSox on social media, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You can listen to the WooSox Insider podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or watch us on YouTube. But when we firm up a date, you'll know when our open house is. And if you didn't get a chance to come by Saturday in the park last year and give your 2 cents on what we should do with the ballpark or what we should do at games or with the foundation, you'll have an opportunity then. But I think don't wait then either. Shoot us an email. Come by the ballpark when you're buying tickets or when you're on the phone at 508-500-8888 with your ticket office members, buying your 9-game mini plans. Throw out an idea then too. Why not? So, Charles, thank you so much for staying here. I know the fans have heard a lot from you this weekend.
The fans hear a lot from me.
That's right. But thank you so much for joining the podcast this time. And Brendan Black, I know you've been monitoring the Zoom. Do we have any fan questions before we go? Our producer, the voice of God, Brendan Black.
Thank you, TQ. We did have a suggestion to potentially racing mascots.
Oh, we could do that.
Potentially for Table Talk Pass.
Why you look hesitant? Smiley Ball could run against Woofster, and if we unveil Roberto the Rocket, that's a secret, right? So if we unveil Roberto the Rocket, who would be particularly interested on Way Pass nights, why couldn't you have those folks run?
I've been in a number of mascot costumes. I think Woofster's feet are heavy. I think Smiley might
have you ever been to Milwaukee and seen the sausage races? They are hilarious.
Yeah, never been to Milwaukee.
Oh, you should go. Laurel Preeb, a dear friend of mine, was instrumental in developing the sausage races in Milwaukee. You stop what you're doing to watch the sausage races.
All I know is if we have a mascot race, I want to be in the first one.
Be
Okay.
careful what you wish for.
If you think you can beat decaf, also be on the lookout for our annual job fair. Usually happens in February. So if you're looking for a game day opportunity, maybe getting a mascot
Actors,
race against this
actors
guy.
who become very close with the mascots. That's
Yeah.
we do keep our eyes open for actors. So we want to get the mascots out to your town in our regionalization effort. Let us know. If you want us to come, tell Rick Medeiros. He loves going on spontaneous voyages. rickm@woosox.com.
Shoot him an email. Thank you all so much for joining us. Winter Weekend is not over either. You can join us Monday at 6 p.m. as we celebrate the life of Jackie Robinson on the eve of Black History Month. So I think unless you guys have any other words.
We may be out there tomorrow too, by the way,
That's
playing in the
right.
snow. We may do a spontaneous voyage. Rick is chomping at the bit to go to Auburn tomorrow.
He's itching in the caravan.
It may be the caravan.
Possibly.
We'll see how that does in the snow or the WooSox mobile.
All right.
Thank you all. You've been great to be so responsive and attentive. And thanks for this inaugural WooSox Winter Weekend.
Chris Bergstrom, if you're out there and you're still on the 1% left on your phone battery watching this, we love you and we miss you.
Yeah. And again, Tom Brady, thanks for watching. It's
Congratulations,
WooSox. Oh,
Tom
do we have a
Brady.
question, Brendan?
Oh, come on.
Dylan, that was your father who suggested the racing.
Hey, Dad. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it.
Congratulations, Tom Brady, and congratulations, David Ortiz.
Yeah.
How fitting is that?
Thank you both for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe in this blizzard. It's WooSox 22. Always something cool and new. We'll see you all soon.